Hi everyone. Um, okay, so today I was thinking of doing a couple of posts, mostly because it's the end of the month, beginning of the month. Before I go or do that, I just want to introduce my cat. This is Garf. She's she's a little shy, but she's my desk dweller. She only comes up on the desk when I'm there, and I think it's because she just wants to hang out. You can't hear it, obviously, but she's purring away. She loves being pet, but for some reason, every time I go to pet her, she squints. It's been like that ever since we got her. We got her from this family who wanted to euthanize her simply because they didn't want her. And so they were going to, put her to sleep, so to speak. And so we took her, and she, she was like, her hair was like all straw, and now it's like all nice and soft. And she still flinches every time you go to pet her, and it's a shame. They must have treated her horribly. But she's with us now, and she has been for like, oh god, man, it's been a long time, like 8 years maybe, 7 years. And she seems really happy. Her fur is nice and soft now. She follows me everywhere, and I love her to death. All right, so on this video, I'm gonna do my April wrap up. So this is basically what I've been reading during April, and my next video, if all goes smoothly, will be what I'm reading in the month of May. Alright, so first up, and I've been reading this slowly, I'm not done yet, and I keep looking down because I have notes on my cell phone. So I've mentioned this a few times in some of my videos, and not all my videos are posted yet. I have like quite a few. I just want to bank them, if that makes any sense. So, like, this is the work of utter genius, I think. It's Thomas Ligotti, Songs of a Dead Dreamer, and Grimscribe, the Penguin Classic. And the stories in this book are very unique. When they tell you to be original, Thomas Ligotti understood. I don't know how long it took him to understand and to apply that, but every story, they always start off and you're like, it's going to be dumb. About halfway through you realize just how stupid you are for even thinking that. The stories are they're hard to describe. If you're really wanting to know what Thomas Ligotti is like, just go read him. But be prepared for some dark and maybe even some depressing ideas. Not really depressing, but definitely dark. I think his later works got kind of more depressing, especially as nonfiction, like the conspiracy against the human race. Alright, so I also read The Last Mile by Tim Waggoner. I had Tim Waggoner on as a guest on the Darkness Dwells podcast. Me and Michael, we interviewed him, and he's a great guy. I had a lot of fun talking to him, and we weren't talking about that book though. We were basically promoting the Chud Lives anthology that I plugged in one of my previous videos. We talked about that and a lot of his media tie-in novels that he writes. He writes for like Supernatural, Grimm, quite a few other X-Files, quite a few other ones. And The Last Mile was a great book. It's certainly very weird. It's basically about the end of the world, where these sort of like cosmic gods descend upon us, and they kind of take over the sky. And that's, I'm going to leave it at that. It's a very weird story. It's quite gory, and it's very messed up. If that's something that you think you'd be interested in, definitely check it out. I recommend Tim Waggoner anyway. He's a lot of fun to read. He writes, I think he's sort of underrated in the weird fiction, weird horror subgenres. He definitely nails that stuff. Okay, I've also been reading, and I'm still reading it because, I'm listening to it to and from work on audio, and that's Persepolis Rising by James R.A. Corey, and that's, of course, the latest book in the Expanse series. I've been reading this for a year now, and it's one of the only series I've been able to, keep up with. Last year I stormed through the whole series up until where it last was, and then I procrastinated a little bit when they released their latest. And I finally started listening to it about a month ago, and I'm about 2/3, maybe 3/4 the way through. It's very good stuff. Of course, I've been reading the Chud Lives anthology because I'm in it, but not just because I'm in it, but because I was Joe over at Crystal Lake Publishing was good enough to send me and Michael an ARC so that we could do proper interviews. Well, maybe not proper interviews, but so that we had some insight into the authors that we interviewed for the podcast in regards to that. Because we decided to do this whole the month of Chud, which was a lot of fun over at the Darkness Dwells podcast. So I was reading those. Great stories in there. And also Hieroglyphs of Blood and Bone by Michael Griffin. I'm going to review this one all by itself. I think this is very... You know what? This story is very good. It's very literary. It's almost more literary than genre. And that's a whole other argument within itself. But I really enjoyed it. Felt good to read it because of my craving for literary fiction lately. It really did kind of scratch that itch. Alright, so that's my April Reads wrap-up. Stay tuned for my May, what I plan to read in May.